Good morning, you guys. Good morning, good morning, good morning. Guess who is back to regularly scheduled book reviews? Woo woo. And I'm so excited to be back. It is so early in the morning right now. I've been up since like 5 a.m., which is good for the gym, not so good for my mental health because I'm really struggling to get back onto US time. I did not have any issues getting onto London time when we flew to London. But I'm having a lot of problems getting back on US time and I don't know why. So that's so fun. So fun. I just by 9 p.m. I am fighting sleep, like dozing off with my Kindle in my hand and it hitting me in the face. And then I'm up at 4 or 5. The latest I've slept is like 6, which is awful. So yeah, we are trucking along. It has given me a lot of early morning reading time though, and I did finish a book, my second book for the month, and that is One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. And I absolutely loved this book. I have a lot to say about it. So this book is considered fantasy, I think. I don't think it's YA. It might be. I'm not 100% sure on that. I can never tell with YA. Some things are YA that I'm like, that's definitely not young adult, and they are, and there are other things that I'm like, oh, that's probably young adult, and they aren't. So, I don't know, but I would definitely call it fantasy. It's borderline fantasy romance, but the romance, honestly, in book 1, if you like fantasy, but you are not a huge fan of fantasy romance and a lot of smut, book 1 is pretty safe for you. I don't know. Book 2 comes out in October. I don't know if there's going to be more romance and more smut in it. But book 1, One Dark Window, is pretty safe. The actual romance doesn't really come in until about 70 or 75% through the book. And the smut is not descriptive. It's not chapters long. It's not anything like that. It's very insinuated and glossed over. So, yeah, if you are not a big smutty fantasy reader, this book is still safe for you. If you took out the romance, I would have still enjoyed this book, which is a really great way to determine whether something is fantasy or fantasy romance. Like, can you remove the romance aspect and it still be a really solid story? Yes, then I put it in the fantasy category. And what this book is about is I'm fully inserting into pumpkin coffee already, you guys. Sorry. I've already done my table info decor. Yeah, I'm like 100% in it. So, what this book is about is it centers around this character Elspeth. And where she lives in this land that she lives in, there's something called the infection. And what happens is when you are a child, you get a high fever and you get infected with magic. The king does not like this. He believes it's causing the mists, which are coming out of the woods and making people crazy and things like that. And so if you are one of those children who gets infected with the fever and get magic, you are killed, pretty much. And so Elspeth gets the fever and gets infected, but her father hides her in the woods at her uncle's house. So she grows up kind of outside of the norm of society, right? And meanwhile, in this book, it revolves a lot around something called Providence cards. I believe that's what they call them. But think of like a tarot card, okay? And I believe there are 12 or 13 in the deck, but each one kind of gives you an ability or a power. You're wealthy and powerful people are going to have them. Sometimes they're family heirlooms. Sometimes people steal them or buy them or trade them from other people, but they are very sought after. and each card does something different. Um, and so she comes across her father's nightmare card, and she touches it and holds it, and due to whatever magic she received from the infection, that nightmare card, the monster that's on that card, goes into her mind. And now she lives with this nightmare in her mind, who talks to her and helps her with powers and things sometimes when she needs him to, but mostly just talks to her and gives her poor advice. And so she lives every day with this nightmare in her head, is what she calls him, the nightmare. And so she kind of lives on the outskirts of society because of that. Well, her aunt and uncle and her cousins have been invited to the Equinox Festival at the castle by the king, and she does not want to go. She's like, no, thank you. No, thank you. I am not about that castle court life. But they kind of force her to go. And there she meets Raven Yu, who is the captain of, I pronounced it, I'm not good with these fantasy book pronunciations, but I pronounced it destroyers. It could have been like deserters or something like that. When I was reading it in my head, I said destroyers. And they're essentially like the guards or the police, or they go out and they try to find people who are infected and take them in. And she had one previous interaction with Raven and his kind of crew of cousins and family. But she didn't know it was him. She was come upon in the woods by some highwaymen, and they wanted her to tell them where her father's cards were, or her uncle's cards, I believe, where they were. And she wouldn't, and she used the nightmare to get away from them. And come to find out, it was Raven and his brothers and cousins and sister and whatnot, because they have their own agenda. They are looking for the full deck of the Providence cards for their own purposes, not to give to the king, but to use for themselves to save Raven's brother. So the Yu family are trying to gather all of these Providence cards to help save Raven's brother, and they need Elspeth's help because she can see the cards, if you would. She can sense where they are at, and that's very helpful to them because they're trying to get a full deck before the king gets a full deck. And yeah, it's just a really, really, really good book. I really loved the magic system, like how they had to tap the card in order to utilize a power. Very well done. I had not kind of heard that or read that before, and I really, really, really enjoyed that magic system. So yeah, definitely 2 thumbs up from this girl over here. Give One Dark Window a shot if you're looking for a fantasy novel. What's coming up over here? Not a whole lot. There's gonna be a lot of book reviews here for a little while. Maybe some like meal ideas or mom hacks or cook with me's, but no like traveling or anything. Our next big trip is not for a few years. We do rather large trips. Next year I've got a few things going on, but I don't know what, if any of them, will be vlogged. And then I might be doing a short cruise with my daughter in the next 2 years. But our big trip is going to be about 4 years away probably, and that is to Japan. We will be doing Tokyo and the surrounding areas for my daughter's high school graduation. It's kind of like 18th birthday, high school graduation. Around that time, she turns 18 in 4 more years. So it'll be in that general time period. And we're so excited to do so. And I've already started planning and plotting. Already planning and plotting, if you would. And yeah, I'm just really, really excited to do all of the things and bring you guys along. Thank you so much for showing me love while I was on vacation. I gained some subscribers while I was on vacation, so I was not expecting to do so. So thank you to those of you who are new here. I love you all very much, new and old. And I hope you're having an amazing Wednesday. And I will see you guys on Saturday. Love you.